What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video here on the Fantasy Fellowship channel. I'm doing a zero running back target video, but literally about 20 minutes ago, big news just broke. Micah Parsons traded to my Green Bay Packers. I'm freaking pumped, man. It cost 2 firsts and Kenny Clark, but I'm totally cool with getting the defensive player of the year for the next 4 years. Amazing get there by Green Bay Packers, but that's not what we're doing today. We're talking zero running backs, and I have a lot of good names for us to look at. I looked at the Fantasy Pros ADP for full PPR, and to me, zero running back. Sure, we could maybe draft a running back in the 6th, and that kind of feels like zero running back. So I'm just going to give you guys some names of guys that I think maybe starting in the 6th round that could kind of qualify as a zero running back target. Let me get my screen share going on here. We'll just pull up some of the numbers. So these are kind of like fringe running back twos that, technically would qualify. And I think the first guy on the list, he's got an ADP of RB25. So he's being drafted outside the top 24 running backs, and his overall is 62. So that puts him square in the middle, I guess the early part of the 6th round. That's going to be David Montgomery with the Detroit Lions here. He was RB18 last year. He played in 14 games. He's played in 14 games in both of the last 2 seasons here for Detroit. And I just think, 14, 15 points per game, he's a good running back, and he's going to get those touchdowns. I think if you want to make David Montgomery like, hey, I want him as my RB1 in a zero running back build, that allows you to nail your first 5 picks. And I just think you're going to be happy setting David Montgomery in as your running back 1 for the majority of the season. So he's kind of the first one, but it kind of feels like cheating. David Montgomery in the middle of the 6th. There's a couple other guys that I think are in this range. Aaron Jones is another one of these running backs in the middle of the 6th round. His ADP is 68th overall. He's also RB26 off the board, and he was RB12 last year. He ran for 1,100 yards. He caught 51 passes, over 1,500 all-purpose yards, 7 total touchdowns. And we know he's good. He's on the wrong side of 30 now. He did not have great red zone numbers rushing last year. They did bring in a guy we're going to talk about later, but we're banking on double-digit numbers here, whether it's 12 to 14 points per game. He's pretty consistent. He does have a bad game every now and then, but for the most part, you can kind of lock him in there. He does look better as your running back too, but put him on the list for a zero running back target. And then my list is going to go basically from about pick 80 to 100. Now, these are guys that I think can actually handle your workload that you're looking for as your RB1 or your RB2. We're going to go with Tyrone Tracy next. He's RB28 off the board. You can get him 81st overall. And again, this is just using Fantasy Pros average draft position numbers right now. Tracy clocked in RB26 last year. He's RB28 off the board this year, and he's already going to be potentially a value here. He scored about 11 points per game, but it took him a little while to get going in this offense. I would say week 5 here is when he finally got the keys. Weeks 14 or started with 14 points per game, and you can kind of see the numbers here. He did kind of have some bad stinkers in here, but if you want to wait, and 81st overall, that's the back end of the 7th round, maybe into the 8th round. I know he has fumbling issues, but he is a talented offensive talent. They're going to get him touches. He might not be getting these 20 and these 18 carries, but if you can find a way to get him 14 carries to 17 carries, he has a chance to break some big plays. He's a good receiving back. I know Cam Scatabo is there. I know Devin Singletary is there, but as long as he doesn't fumble this away, he's going to be in the RB2 territory. So I'm going to mention one Tyrone Tracy Jr. there. The next guy on the list is going to be Jaylen Warren. And if you guys watch my show, you guys know I'm a huge Jaylen Warren fan. And he's been a guy that I've liked for years just from his talent. Now, he's been kind of blocked by Najee Harris throughout his career. Last year, his numbers took a dip. He was hurt to begin the season and can just never really quite be himself. 2023, though, he averaged almost 12 PPR points per game. He caught 61 passes, ran for almost 800 yards and 4 touchdowns. I think we're looking more towards this 2023 line. So if you just want to pencil in 12 points per game roughly as your RB2, this is a guy that I think should be on your list. It took him a little while to get going, but last year down the stretch, he showed kind of what we could be potentially buying, 11 to 14 carries per game, 3-4 catches, and he's getting an upgrade with Aaron Rodgers This is a defensive-minded team. They want to be able to run the ball, dump it off. Not a lot of other targets on this offense as well. I think Jaylen Warren could be number 2 in terms of receptions. Maybe not targets, but he could be a heavily relied on receiving back. They brought in Caleb Johnson to maybe be a guy that takes some carries away from Jaylen Warren. And Jaylen Warren's never going to get 20 touches in a game unless things happen with injuries and whatnot. I think somewhere between that 12 to 15 touches is where you want Jaylen Warren, whether that's 10 to 12 carries and maybe 3-4 catches per game. That's going to qualify for a running back 2 workload. So we do like Jaylen Warren. He looks like a guy that could potentially have a career season as well. I like that. Next on the list, and Jaylen Warren was RB29, 85th overall. We're going to go to another guy here in the beginning of the 8th round. We already talked up Aaron Jones, but we're going to talk about Jordan Mason here, who got a nice little stint last year with the 49ers as the CMC replacement. He didn't really average a lot of great numbers, but he got the first 5 games as a starter. He did get hurt kind of in this week 6, 7, 8 range. Still put up some decent floors of about 9 points, but we're looking at a guy that can support a heavy workload. He's not a great receiving back, but he can do it. But this rushing upside is what we're excited about. And I think that's what the Vikings are excited about. They got a guy that complements Aaron Jones. You think about how the Packers used Aaron Jones in the past with, a Jamal Williams, A.J. Dillon, a guy that can just take some carries off Jones's workload and help keep him fresh. Whether that's 10 to 14 carries per game, somewhere in that range, I think is his floor. And then if Aaron Jones does go down, we got someone that could potentially just be a league winner. So I think when Jones is healthy, we're looking at 8 to 12 touches for a guy like Jordan Mason, but we're looking for those touchdowns, man. If he is the goal line back, and it was very clear Aaron Jones was not a successful red zone goal line back last year, they may be paid Jordan Mason to be that guy. And we know that when if Aaron Jones does miss time, like we're looking at these workload numbers here for a guy like Jordan Mason. So he's definitely a guy that I like. Maybe not so much in my starting lineup, but as my first man off the bench, I think that's what gets me excited. And pretty much the rest of the list is going to be guys kind of like this. We got J.K. Dobbins, who's going to be the RB2 over here in Denver. He looked good last year in spurts when he was healthy. He only played 13 games, but he was kind of back to his regular self. Almost 200 carries, 9 rushing touchdowns, 32 catches. He's kind of a do-it-all kind of back, and he's finally healthy. He's going to be inconsistent, though. That's what's going to be frustrating. But you can see 8, 9 points per game was his floor. And say he does get, 10 carries. He does show that ability to make big plays happen in the running game. Most likely, you're going to probably be looking at, 8 to 10 points per game on a bad week. Whether he gets a catch or 2 is going to be what dictates that. But I like RJ Harvey. I really like Denver's offensive line and their Sean Payton's ability to feed his running backs. We could be looking at a Mark Ingram style role for J.K. Dobbins. So as much as I like Harvey, I still recognize Dobbins still has talent despite all his injuries, and he's going to be involved a little bit here. So he's definitely someone to put on your radar. He's RB32 off the board, 95th overall. Next on the list is going to be Zach Charbonnet, RB33, 96th overall. So end of the 8th round. He was RB25 last year. Not only does he carry league-winning upside if Kenneth Walker goes down, like we know Charbonnet's good, and I believe the Seahawks know that Charbonnet is good. He can handle a big workload. You can see 22 carries, 18 carries. When Walker misses time, we're going to want Charbonnet in our lineups. But I think we're at the point now where the Seahawks know that they have to get Charbonnet involved, whether that's, I think he's going to be more in that 8 to 10 carry per game thing. Maybe we see Kenneth Walker get 20 plus carries per game, but that's not very sustainable for Kenneth Walker. We have proof on that. So I think, the days of these 2s and 5s and 4s are probably done. I want to see him getting 8 carries per game, getting some base work in the receiving game as well, and having maybe like a 6 to 8 point floor when Kenneth Walker's healthy. But man, if everything breaks right and Charbonnet, if he does earn more base work, that's great. But if Kenneth Walker goes down, we're looking at Charbonnet as a league-winning, kind of a handcuff type pick, but he's a league-winning back for sure. The next guy I don't really have data on, but it's Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, RB34, 97th overall. He's a top 100 pick now, so you got to brace for that. Let's look at what Brian Robinson did, and basically we're going to give Ja'Cory the Brian Robinson role that he's had the last few years. So about 200 carries maybe 800. I think he's a better runner than B-Rob, so he's probably looking at maybe 900 yards. But it's the touchdown role that we're excited about. He's not going to be heavily used as a receiver. He's going to catch a few passes, maybe 1 or 2 per game at best. But it's somewhere in that 9 to 12 points per game role. He's more valuable in a half PPR league and a standard league than he is a full PPR because Eckler exists, and we're going to talk about him next. He's on the cover of the video for sure. But I think I'm there with JCM. You might have to buy him in the 7th round, which I don't love as much. But if he's sitting there around pick 100, I think that's what looks good. And yeah, you could probably start him every week as your RB2. And, look at B-Rob's numbers down here. Sure, there's a couple bad games, but for the most part, he was scoring touchdowns to start the year. He gets hurt, really wasn't quite himself to finish the year, but he does have a role in this offense. JCM, we are interested. Now let's talk about my favorite, especially in a PPR league, a zero running back target. It's going to be Austin Eckler. He's RB 37 off the board, 105th overall, a 9th round pick on a PPR running back here. And Eckler was good last year. He averaged 4.8 yards per carry. He had 35 catches, 10 yards per catch. Jaden Daniels loved throwing him dump offs. We're looking at a guy that's going to be on the field a lot. And who knows, maybe, 3rd down work and 2-minute drill. Those are going to be Eckler's, but he's still going to get base work, which I like quite a bit. I love PPR backs. Eckler is as good as they come. Sure, he's up there in age, but Commanders are going to rely on him. And if you look at the box scores here, if you were to just leave Eckler in there as your RB2, you're going to get double digits more often than not. So I have a good feeling about Eckler hitting his 6 to 10 carries per game and getting at least 2 or 3 catches per game as well. So he is kind of the discount Jaylen Warren, if you will. And the ability to maybe even be the goal line back is still there. Like, Eckler is a good running back. And then he's cheap. So 9th round for me, Eckler in PPR league, sign me up. And now we're kind of into the list of like 100 plus, and these are role players that I view with upside. I'll kind of just rapid fire some of these guys, but Tank Bigsby, RB 41, 120th overall. I still have him leading the Jags in rushing attempts and rushing touchdowns this year. I think Bashal Tutin could kind of come into play as the year goes on. I don't know if ETN's going to outtouch Bigsby. I think ETN can be involved as a receiver. He's another name that you can think about, but I think Bigsby in a half PPR standard league, he's going to get those touches. He's going to be a little inconsistent, but in games where the Jags are favored to win, maybe think about putting Tank Bigsby in your lineup because he does have that ability to just dominate touches and just run the ball and be a bruiser and just basically he's a guy that I think you want in your lineup when the Jags are going to win games. And he does have some big play upside at the receiver position. They haven't asked him to do that much, but I just think Bigsby could be a guy that surprises. Another guy that I know Travion Henderson's getting a lot of buzz right now. Like, he's going in the 3rd round of DraftKings drafts right now, but it's Ramondre Stevenson. I don't think he's a great back. I think he's a fine back. I think he's okay. I think he's kind of like a Brian Robinson level replacement back, but Patriots want to run the ball. They're not going to give Travion Henderson every touch in this backfield. I'm still projecting Ramondre to be involved as the leading ball carrier and to lead the team in rushing touchdowns. Receptions are probably coming down for Ramondre this year, but if you look at some of the numbers from last year, he's got the ability to rack up a lot of volume. And when he does get the goal line opportunities, he's going to be a guy that we like in our lineup. So he's kind of like the same bet as Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt for me, where you can get him a round or 2 cheaper. And it might not be pretty, but in games where the Patriots are favored to win or be competitive, I don't hate Ramondre Stevenson. Another name here for you guys, Braylon Allen. He's RB 43 off the board, 124th overall. He's going to be involved. He's not really a guy that I want in my starting lineup, but he's definitely a guy that I like on my bench. He showed some things last year. People forget he's still really, really young. But he held his own last year. The coaching staff really likes him. He might be the goal line back. He might maybe get more touches than Brees at some point this season. So I like Braylon on my bench. I don't draft a lot of this next player, Nick Chubb, RB 44, 126th overall. He's going to open up as the starter for the Houston Texans, but I just don't know if that's going to last. I just don't know if it's going to last. But if you need a running back 2 in a pinch week 1, Chubb can be your guy. He's currently RB 44, 126th overall. Next guy on my list is rookie Jaden Blue, RB 48, 147th overall. He's going to be a guy that makes a lot of big plays for the Cowboys. I don't know if we can trust him to get a big workload, but kind of like the Ecklers and the the ETNs of the world. He's going to get 7 to 10 carries and maybe 2-3 big catches per game. He could be a guy that gets more work as the year goes on. So we like Jaden Blue on our bench. This guy, Dylan Sampson, I have Dylan Sampson and Jerome Ford next on the list. Sampson's RB50, Jerome Ford RB51. These guys are double-digit rounds. And I like taking a chance on one of these guys. I think Ford's going to be trusted to be the third down 2-minute drill back, but Sampson's really electric, and he showed some really nice things in college. He might just be their best running back on the roster, and we don't know what's going on with Judkins yet. I think Sampson opens up as the lead ball carrier, but Jerome Ford's going to be involved. I think both guys are worth a shot on your bench. If I had to choose one, though, I'm going to go with Sampson because I think if he comes out and he looks really good, he can earn more touches. If he's not playing good, then they're going to go back to Jerome Ford. Next on the list, and this guy's he's screaming up draft boards right now. It's Ollie Gordon for the Miami Dolphins, RB54, 167th overall. We just had Jalen Wright go down with a injury that required surgery. He might be back at some point in September, but I think we're out of the bag here. Gordon is RB2 for the Miami Dolphins. We've seen Raheem Mostert explode in this role. They're not going to give Devon Achane a ton of touches as a runner. They're going to try and keep him probably around 200 carries, kind of like an Alvin Kamara type role. So Gordon could easily get some base work. He's kind of a discount Jordan Mason, if you will, where I think he's got 8 to 10 carries per game, maybe a catch, maybe a goal line opportunity in there. I think Ollie Gordon's a really fun pick for zero running back drafters. And if Achane goes down, we got something pretty crazy. 2 more guys left on the role players with upside. That's going to be Rico Dowdle. I know Chuba's the starting running back there, but people forget Rico ran for 1,000 yards last year. He's a good receiving back. He might be the third down receiving back this year over Chuba Hubbard, and he's still going to get 5 to 8 carries per game. So he's got a little bit of base, a little bit of receiving upside. If Chuba goes down, we're all starting Rico Dowdle. And last on the list, and this is you got to be really strategic with this one, but it's Justice Hill for the Ravens, RB63, 229th overall in a PPR league. Make him your last pick. Especially week 1 against Buffalo, you could whip out Justice Hill as your RB2 and he could rack up 5-6 catches in games that are high scoring, or the Ravens are going to be, maybe underdogs and they're going to have to pass more. Justice Hill fits the bill. And then last on the list, I have a list of 8 names here that are more so pure handcuffs that are going to require some patience. First on the list is Brian Robinson Jr., RB39, 113th overall. It's going to require a Christian McCaffrey injury for him to enter our starting lineups. But if that does happen, we're all starting B-Rob. It's pretty clear. So he's going to be on your bench. He's a little bit too costly, so I don't really get him a lot. I think everybody else on this list after him, though, is fair play. That's going to be Bashal Tutin, RB46, 140th overall. The Liam Cohen, Bucky Irving stuff that happened last year. It took maybe 4 or 5 weeks for him to finally commit to Bucky, but it was kind of wheels up from there. Bashal Tutin, man, they handpicked him. He might be better than Tank. He might be better than ETN. We could maybe see one of those or both of those running backs moved. Tutin's a guy I want on my bench. Trey Benson for the Cardinals. I don't think he gets enough base work in the offense for me to want to use him on a weekly basis, but if Connor goes down, and he usually misses a game or 2 or 3, Benson's going to be in our mind there. Ray Davis, RB53, 165 overall. I think Ray Davis is a talented young back. If James Cook misses time, we're all going to be wanting Ray Davis on our teams. Woody Marks for the Houston Texans, RB59, 203 overall. He's competing with Dare Ogunbowale for pass catching duties, but I think Woody Marks could be, he could kind of be a Justice Hill guy where he gets 5-6 carries, gets 3, 4, 5 catches per game, a guy that could get more work as the year goes on. I think he's a good pass catcher. Will Shipley, a pure handcuff to Saquon Barkley, RB60 off the board. And then the last 2 actually kind of excite me more than the other guys on this list because I think Kendre Miller, man, if he stays healthy, I think he's good. RB71, 253 overall. Make him your last pick. And he's going to have some base work because they're not going to give Kamara the full workload. And maybe he can be a guy that we're starting if Kamara gets hurt or misses time. Last, zero running back on the list, Dameon Pierce. RB77, 280 overall. Don't think Joe Mixon's going to be playing anytime soon. I don't think Nick Chubb's going to look great. They're going to give Nick Chubb the start week 1, but Dameon Pierce could easily outshine Nick Chubb. So I think, these are probably some guys we're going to be talking about on the waiver wire at some point this year. But if you're looking for zero running backs, that's all the guys that I put together for you round 6 and up. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching. Go Pack, go. Holy shit.